Who gets the final 3 F1 seats for 2023? The silly season has finally started to gain its final form, but it's far away from over. Everything started with Vettel's retirement announcement and Alonso taking his seat in Alpine. The team thought that they could sign Piastri, but after he refused a guaranteed seat in Alpine, that is when some huge pieces started to move in all directions. With Ricciardo losing his seat in McLaren and Zhou and Tsunoda continuing the deal with their respective teams for 2023, only 3 seats are remaining that are up there for taking. In this video, we're going to talk about them and see what are the biggest opportunities that each team has in its own hands. So don't go anywhere. Let's start with the hottest and the best team of the 3. And that is Alpine. The French team has juggled its options between signing Alonso on the 1+1 deal by passively pressuring him with Piastri's presence on the team. However, Alonso jumped in Aston Martin as soon as Vettel announced his retirement on a 3-year contract that would see Alonso racing in his 44th year of life. Piastri felt humiliated by the way he was treated in Alpine and thought that he deserved more than being announced in the senior team just because Alonso went to another team, which is why he denied the spot and signed with McLaren on a 2-year contract. Nevertheless, this leaves Alpine without a driver for the 2023 season, and although they have many options out there, no one has the potential and the age of Piastri, as they have invested so much in his development and stood behind him in his F3 and F2 championship winning days. Gasly has emerged as the candidate that Alpine would want to sign as Alonso's replacement, but in order for this to happen, Gasly has to be released from AlphaTauri, and in order for the latter to happen, AlphaTauri needs to bring Nick de Vries as his replacement. If this doesn't happen, then Alpine is likely looking at a candidate with more experience, but also a candidate that can grow with the team. According to Rossi, Gasly is the perfect candidate, but they understand the circumstances and are willing to sign other drivers. This is why they've offered the test drive to Hülkenberg, Giovinazzi, de Vries and Doohan. The latter one is eligible for a super license, and there is a chance that Alpine will consider him for the vacant spot left by Alonso. Still, the team said that they want to put him in a lower team such as Williams in order for him to gain experience in F1 prior to joining the senior team of Alpine. This is exactly what they plan to do with Piastri, and it seems like the team just isn't learning from their own mistakes. With that being said, it's likely that Alpine will sign one of these drivers, as de Vries has been heavily related to AlphaTauri. If he decides that he has a shot in Alpine, then it's likely that he'll consider this spot, but if he joins AlphaTauri, there is a chance that he'll race for Red Bull beyond 2024. The next vacant spot is Haas. The team currently doesn't have a driver for the 2023 season, and although Mick has scored his first career points in Silverstone and then in Austria, it doesn't seem like it's enough to keep his seat in the American-based team. Mick has also been related to dropping out of the Ferrari Academy at the end of the season, which would likely mean that his tenure in Haas and F1 will be over, since there aren't many teams that are interested in his signature. Haas is considering Giovinazzi and Hülkenberg to be the main candidates for the 2023 spot, apart from Mick. The team gave Giovinazzi 2 free practice sessions in 2022, one that has already been done in Monza and one later this season in Austin, USA. However, according to Steiner, the media made too big of a deal out of these free practice sessions, and they were given to Giovinazzi as a request from Ferrari so that the Italian will have some mileage behind his name. Steiner spoke about Mick, Daniel Ricciardo and Hülkenberg as the possible suitors for the 2023 spot, as he gave his verdict when it comes to who has the highest chance of succeeding it. When talking about Mick, Steiner said, "We are still looking at what is best for the team. Do we only look at the technique or the qualities a driver brings? I'll be honest, we don't know if Mick will stay or not. He had very good races in Canada, Britain and Austria, but he lacks consistency. He should be strong more often. We're in no rush with drivers, and Mick still has opportunities to show what he can do. You put pressure on someone, and we can't do that. It would be shooting ourselves in the foot. We don't have time pressure, and it is what all the other teams want. It's an advantage that we don't want to take away from ourselves." Gunter also spoke about Danny, saying that everything is in hand and he would have given them a call if he was interested in the spot, adding, "In this situation, Daniel first has to decide for himself what he does. It makes little sense to persuade him to do something. He has to decide for himself. If he feels like it, he will certainly call, otherwise he will probably say, "I'll do a sabbatical" or something else. As for Hülkenberg, Steiner had nothing but praise for his fellow countryman, saying that he is a guy that will surely move the team in the right direction thanks to his experience, adding, "A man like Nico brings experience. What can a driver do to make the team better and bring us to the top? How much risk do you want to take? With a young driver, you usually take more risks because you don't know how far he can go. You can't calculate that mathematically." With that being said, Haas does have an interesting period ahead of them, as they have a palette of drivers they can choose from for the 2023 season. Moving on to the last team in our video, Williams. The British-based team has scored some points, mostly through Albon this season, and has shown that the car is capable of fighting for points and is on the right track to improve. However, they decided that enough is enough with Latifi, as the Canadian will leave the team at the end of 2022. The last nail in the coffin was put by Nick de Vries's debut in Monza, where the Dutchman was able to score points in a car that he only drove for 1 hour in FP3. He out-qualified Latifi, finishing P12 and starting P8, due to 4 drivers ahead of him receiving penalties and going on the back of the grid, and scored 33% of the total amount of points for Williams in 2022. This is why many fans have started chants on Twitter to replace Latifi in the remainder of the 2022 season and from 2023 and beyond with De Vries. Even the team's principal, Jost Capito, said that he is a close friend of De Vries, and if the Dutchman wants to sign with the team, it's up to him to decide, and some moves can be made regarding this matter. As he elaborated, he did an absolutely outstanding job, and I rate him extremely high. That's why my expectations are extremely high, and he overfulfilled these. It's so difficult to get in that car to race for 2 hours and do the qualifying and not doing any mistake and not driving on its own. He had to defend, he had to attack, he had to get lapped and not doing a mistake. Then he had to do the pit stop. It's just so complicated, and it's an outstanding job, said Capito, who also spoke about the contractual situations of De Vries. I don't know, you have to ask him what his contractual situations are. You've just seen how messy it can be, and we are not known for being messy. I'm not doing hypothetical things, so I'm only interested in facts. If the facts are there, then there might be solutions, finished Capito. If De Vries decides to race for AlphaTauri or Alpine, which are much more attractive markets than Williams, the team will likely have to settle with a rookie in their team, such as Logan Sargent. However, the USA-based driver doesn't have a super license, and in order to be eligible for one, he needs to finish in the top 5 finishes in F2 in the last race of the season. He is currently sitting at P3, but is under threat from 6 drivers to lose this spot in the last race, so he needs to be really careful. Other than that, Williams may work a deal with Alpine to sign Zhou in a strategy that was initially planned to be implemented on Piastri's head. However, it's very likely that the team would want to put someone from their own rows, such as Sargent, who is currently a member of the Williams Academy, rather than allow their rivals to breed their talents in Williams. With that being said, it's very uncertain as to how these 3 free spots will see the daylight. What do you think will happen in the upcoming period? Let us know in the comments below.